Very good. Hi, everybody. I'm Judy Peterson, and this is Stacy Sherman, and we are starting day 2 of our homeschool conference. Woohoo! Can't wait. We have the first thing this morning, we're going to be talking about lesson plans and chores and schedules and fitting it all in, because homeschoolers know we are busy, busy, busy. So especially if you've got more than one kiddo and more than one activity that they're in. So just like with government school, trying to run them back and forth to practices and all that stuff, homeschoolers do the same thing if they want to. If they don't want to, then they don't. But at least you've got a shot at it when you've got all the organizations and the things that we talked about last night. So let's talk about today. We'll start with lesson. What I did with lesson plans was I started out, I went to a teacher store and I bought a notebook or a book that had 4 lesson plans, and started out, and I wrote all of it down in little things in September, and I wrote all of our what our monthly goals were and all of the things we were going to do, the schedule in order and all this stuff. And yeah, it didn't work. I still, by the time I graduated my children, I had probably used maybe 2/3 of the book at the most, and that's only because every year I started the same way and never finished up with it. I'd get through maybe October, November, and then the holidays would hit and everything was out the window. And especially when you're first starting out, you don't know what your kids are going to get involved with. And actually every year that's pretty much the case, because something new will come along, or they'll decide that they're interested in playing the saxophone, or they're interested in playing baseball or something like that. And so your schedule that you had planned out, and like last night we were talking about the perfect Paula and the competent Carl, and those people will have everything planned out and make sure that they've got it ready to go. And my daughter told me one day, she says, my philosophy on setting my goals is that I set a goal pretty far out, and then I have a plan, but it's a very loose, flexible plan, because God has a way of changing plans. And so that's pretty much how and that came up because she was in a relationship with a guy who had all of it planned out. He was going to go off to college. He was going to major in engineering. He was going to get all this stuff, and it was going to be, just the way he had planned. And a year later, he's back at home. He's got an apprenticeship with an electrician, and things have changed drastically since then. So it's probably a good thing to kind of leave it a little bit loosey-goosey, even if you're one that wants to have everything structured and set up in a row. Hey, how are y'all doing? And LaShawn is here. So we want to make sure that that if everything falls apart, it's okay. You can still recover and your kids will be just fine. So what did you want to talk about with that?
Yeah, the curriculum I always bought had lesson plans with it already done out. I loved the thought of writing out lesson plans, but I didn't need to because, like I said, my curriculum had it. And like Judy said, it is great to have a plan. But life sometimes throws a wrench in those plans, and sometimes God just says, hold on a minute, who's leading this ship, me or you? So I think it's a good thing to kind of plan out where you want to go for your school year. I think that's a great idea. And but I would always do it in pencil. Don't do it in pen, because the first 2 weeks is going to go great. Even probably even the first month. But getting into holidays, things are going to happen where, you're going to have to go. You didn't realize family was going to come, and oh my goodness, everybody's coming to your house for Thanksgiving. So then it's like, okay, well, now we need a cleaning day. So we're going to put school on the back burner because we can do that since we're homeschoolers. And we're going to have home economics today and clean. And meal plan and write out the grocery list and go do all this stuff. So if you have it in pen, it's going to make your lesson plans very messy when you scratch out, we didn't get to page 115 today. You know, and then from those days on unless you catch up, which you can do on the weekends is fine. You know, you're going to have to scratch out some stuff. So my yeah, my philosophy with lesson plans is kind of the same as Judy's. You know, plan, that's great. Be flexible in those plans though, and write in pencil.
So one thing I did was, and it drove my kids crazy, but I needed it, was every year I would do, I kind of know by the end of the year where I wanted them to be. But as far as the daily schedule goes, I would type up for myself and for each child a schedule of, okay, this is, and it started when they were about 7 or 8, probably, maybe 9. This is what I do every morning. And I have a morning routine. And the morning routine is, okay, I get up, I make my bed, never happened. I get up and I brush my teeth next. I go in and I do some, hey, how are you doing? Good to see you this morning. And we went in and did just a plan for the morning. And I usually we would start with math because I feel like you got to get math out of the way. And usually the fresher you are, the easier it is to do math. And then we would do history and I would read some to them. A lot of times when they were younger, we would do a devotional in the morning and I would just literally just read them a paragraph and we talk about it a little bit. And then we say a prayer because usually there's prayer requests for their friends and things like that. And so I kind of tried to get them involved with that sort of thing. And then, but the schedule I would type up and I would paste it on the wall in our dining room. And then I also had, with chores, I started to have them they could pick a chore. They could either be in charge of the bathroom or they could be in charge of the kitchen. And they would do that for a month. And then if they wanted to change, they could, and they could pick a room. And they were in charge of making sure that all of the dishes got done and that all of the bathroom was clean. And I just figured that was kind of fair because the toilet and loading the dishwasher are the two things that are the worst about both of those rooms. And as long as those were fairly clean, I was pretty happy. So and I didn't do that until they were probably 10 or 11. But they, you know, there's certainly no reason that a kiddo, as long as you've got a stool, can't be emptying that dishwasher. It's fairly simple to do. And the tub is usually pretty easy to clean as well. So as they're littler, you can have them doing things like that. But the schedule that I had, the kids never followed it, but I would get up, I would go and I would empty the dishwasher so that at the morning it was empty and we could all put our plates in as soon as we finished eating something. And then we would start school. And then about 11 o'clock, they were done with school and at least mentally. And so I would start doing some work on my business. And then at lunch, through lunch, I would do that. And then in the afternoon, normally about 2 o'clock, the activities would start. And so that's when you got to start running people around. And so I tried to do any appointments and things like that I needed to do on the phone by 2 or around 2, for sure by 3. And then we did one of the best things that I did, and I should have started it much earlier, but I didn't know about it, was probably when they're about 10 years old, I had each child pick a day to do dinner. They were in charge of making dinner. And I'll tell you what, that was one of the best things I ever did because it took the pressure off of me to make dinner every single night. And I would do, Sunday was fend for yourself. You could, anything you wanted to eat, you could eat. If it's leftovers, there's usually tons of leftovers by Sunday. So they could have leftovers. They could have cereal. I don't care what you eat on Sunday. That is not my job. And then the day of the week that they picked, usually Reagan picked Thursday and Victoria picked Monday because Reagan had scouts on Monday and would not get home until like 9 o'clock at night. And so we would be eating very late, but that gave her the time to make the food. And then with Reagan on Thursdays, he was much more into cooking than she was. She really hates to cook. But the way I started it was that I had been to a scouting camp out, and one of the ladies there, she makes sure that she teaches her kids how to cook and how to do all that stuff. And actually, for graduation, she requires them to have prepared and made Thanksgiving dinner, all of it. So either they can draft somebody to help them, but they were in charge of Thanksgiving dinner. And so I thought that was a really kind of a cool thing. And she has the boys doing it too, because that's one of those holidays that everybody eats and is excited about eating. And so you really, as a adult, you need to learn how to do it. And it'll be a lot easier if your mom taught you how to do it before you graduated high school. So I thought that was great. I did not do that, but I did the weekly meal thing for each of them, and they could go on Pinterest, and all they had to do was make sure that we had the ingredients in the house. So they had to be a little bit prepared, but the day of, they could pull that Pinterest recipe up and go for it. And we would take pictures of their dish when they made a first dish, and they had their favorites. Victoria liked to make enchiladas, and Reagan always liked the Italian food. So they got to try different dishes, and it kind of got them eating different things too, because when you make your own food, you're more likely to eat it, especially as a kid. So I would probably, if I were to do this over again, I would start that at about 10 years old. I started it probably about 13 and 15. And that may be why my daughter doesn't like to cook. But the schedule, I really tried to have the kids on the schedule, but you got to have buy-in for the kids to be on a schedule. And for the when they're younger, it's really difficult to get that buy-in. So when they got older, I started doing more of that, and I let them set their own schedule. And as far as when they got to be teenagers and high school, they were much more autonomous on doing their own work. They were in charge of making sure that they did their work, and they were to come to me if they needed help. But for the most part, there wasn't very much teaching involved. If they had trouble with a math problem or something like that, they would come to me and ask. And then grading things that they needed done, I would do that. So, but for the most part, they did most of their high school education on their own with the curriculums that we chose. So, and the only time I needed to be there was if I had to like kick some booty to get them moving on it and not skipping lessons.
I did things a little bit differently, just because my husband was in the military and pretty rigid about, things. So I have 3 kids, and they are now 29, 25, and 21. But when they were younger, we had our wake up time was 7:30, and school started at 8. So at 7:30, school started at 8:30. Sorry, school started at 8 or 8:30. It's been a few years since I've homeschooled my kids. So, when you have more than one, after the older 2 have graduated, you kind of get a little lax with the last one. So I totally got lax with the last one. But for the most part, whenever they were younger, we woke up at 7:30. Between 7:30 and I think maybe it was like 8:15, beds had to be made, breakfast had to be done, teeth had to be brushed, your quiet time had to be done. And by 8:15, you had to be sitting at your desk ready for school. And our school always started with Bible, because we did a DVD program. And then after that, we could pick what we wanted, but I always picked Bible first. And then I tried to encourage them highly to do math second, because like Judy said, sometimes those subjects which take a little bit extra brain power are better to get done in the morning. And then it's something that you're not dreading all day long. If math is not their subject, to save it to the end, they would whenever we did, they would drag their feet to get it done. And it's like, oh my gosh, I have so much English. I have to read all this. And it's like, do you really need to read all that today? And they'd be like, whoops, finish the whole book. Gosh, Mom, now it's so late. We don't have time for math. Yeah, right. Um, so getting those harder subjects out of the way kind of gives them something to look forward to at the, to end your day with reading or history or something else that's a little lighter, might be a better thing. My kids each had their own color for cups, for towels, almost even for shirts for my boys. I mean, they all got to wear other colors, but and they were so far apart in age that I could tell whose was whose. But for towels, because I wanted to know who left their towel laying on the bathroom floor. And I knew that if it was tan, that one was Jonathan's. If it was navy blue, that one was Matthew's. My daughter had her own bathroom, so she was always in trouble if hers was on the floor. But even just their toothbrushes, I mean, they each had their color, and we bought that color for a year until we decided, okay, do I want to change colors? Let's do something different. Because I wanted to know whose was laying out, who did not pick up after themselves. And same with the cups, because as homeschoolers, your kids are home all day long and they think your kitchen is open all day long. And that was one of the things that was like, oh my gosh, we have 25 cups here. How many people live in this house? There's only 5 of us, and one of us is at work all day, and it's only 4 of us here. Why are there so many cups? So I instituted the colored cups, and we still have a few of them. And my kids will still come over today and be like, oh, can't drink out of this cup, can I, Mom? And I'm like, haha, very funny, So it's still something that they get to joke about, and that they laugh about now, that, oh, his is the orange cup. Watch, here I go, Mom. Am I going to get in trouble? Yeah, you are. So, so that was something that I did just to kind of help streamline your homeschool day, because my gosh, it's a lot. Your kids are with you all day long. You still have housework to do. Laundry is, I mean, they're no longer wearing, their school clothes and their home, play clothes, whatever. Now they're wearing clothes, their play clothes for everything, and then they change to leave the house. And so, I don't know, I just felt like when I pulled my kid out, that laundry multiplied. So it was a great way for me to be able to have a plan to have them pick up after themselves. And they started making their bed at 5 years old. And it was a requirement. Your bed was made every morning. I did not want to walk in your room and see your bed unmade. I don't, still to this day, I do not like to sleep in a bed that has not been made. I don't know why. That's just my little thing. So I made my kids make their bed. And as they've gotten older, I've been over to their houses. They don't always make their bed. My oldest one does. The middle one and the youngest, sometimes they do. Although my middle one has gotten better as he's gotten a little bit older. He went through a phase where he didn't, but now that he's married, I don't know if he's doing it or his wife's doing it, but the other thing that we did is we picked a week. You had 1 week on trash, 1 week on kitchen. And so that was when it was kid number one's time for, and we did trash and animals because we had dogs. So we did 1 week, you did everything in the kitchen, morning through night, didn't matter, you helped. Your job was to help Mom in the kitchen, empty the dishwasher when it needed to be emptied. As they got older, I stepped back and let them take control of cleaning it. And I would help them, they wanted something special for dinner, I'd help them get that done. But then the other child had trash and animal duty. So they had to feed the animals, take out the trash. At that time, we had trash pickup twice a week. Now we only have it once a week. So I don't know what I'd do today about that. But anyway, And then one child had that week off. And so it just rotated every week. And it just made life simple for me because I knew that we were going to have, today's Jonathan's week on kitchen. And Jonathan was great at cleaning. I loved it when he was on kitchen. And so I knew that kitchen was going to be done. And every night when I went,
Jonathan's an active service.
yeah, every night when I went to bed, the kitchen was clean. When we woke up in the morning, the kitchen was clean. And that brings me to something else that I asked my kids. I asked them what makes them happy when they start their day. What would make their day start and be good? And I think my daughter said, I want waffles and pancakes for breakfast. And so I was like, okay, I won't do that every morning, but I can add more of that in, instead of just cereal or, go pop in an Eggo. My middle son said, I want blinds open in the house. He's like, I would like to walk downstairs and see sunlight coming in. I don't want it to be dark. I don't want it to be, still like cozy in here. I need brightness to see that it's time to get up, it's time to get moving. And so, you know what? That's an easy fix for me. That means I get up 5 minutes earlier than he does, and I go open all the blinds downstairs. Okay. Turn on some lights for him. Okay. If that's going to make his day start better and he's going to be happier, heck yeah, let's do that. So it was easy fixes for me to do for my kids to have their day start off nice. My oldest son, he wanted some music playing. He's like, can we have some music playing when we're eating breakfast? Yeah, we can do that. So some mornings, all three of them were happy because we did the pancakes, blinds were open, and music was going. And they were like, oh, it was like utopia in my kitchen, with the kids being happy. And then their attitude is usually better to start their school day whenever that their morning gets off good. So that was something that I did to help get their morning going. I also did, especially when they were little, I would set the timer, like if I could see, they were all coming to the end of their class, I would set a timer and say, you know what, we have 15 minutes now to go run outside, to go do whatever you want. You've got 15 minutes to go do whatever you want as just a break in the middle of the day. And so timer comes off, you got to be back and sitting down. And so they would work and they would try to be done with their class day. It's like, I can beat the time. I can beat mom's time when we're going to stop. And so they could be, that would just give them a little break, a little decompression time to get the wiggles out, get, if they needed to, I don't know, they wanted to go draw, color, whatever, they could go do that. And the other thing that I would do, especially when they were little, was I would set a 10-minute timer and say, 10-minute timer for cleanup. And so we would just do 10 minutes and everybody, doesn't matter what room, if you see something out, you pick it up for 10 minutes. And this was all of us just getting the house back in order, back straight so we could, enjoy our evening together. So that's kind of what I did for my kids to kind of help them learn chores, time management, find out what makes their day start off good, and helps make my life a little easier. Because as homeschool mom, your principal, your teacher, your administrator of your school, and your wife, hello, let's not forget about him who comes home and you got to take off all these other hats that you've been wearing and turn into loving, devoted wife who wants to take care of your husband now after you've taken care of your kids all day. Sometimes it's like, I don't have any more of me left. So getting your kids to help you take care of housework, to take care of kitchen stuff, that helps you be able to have something left to give to your husband when he comes home. Because they need that time to decompress too, because they've been dealing with stuff at work that we have no idea about. But they need that time to decompress and to have you to bounce stuff off of or whatever. So that's what I did to kind of help me and help my family be smooth. Because like Judy said, and we said it yesterday, you can schedule yourself and socialize yourself out of homeschooling because there's so many activities to do. So you've got to get stuff done in order to be able to go out to the field trips, to the play practices, to co-ops or whatever else is going on. And if it, I'm sure, you know, y'all are all moms, you all know, it does not take long for your house to get destroyed. I mean, you know, you have 2 busy days where you're running back and forth to different stuff, and all of a sudden you're like, we haven't even been here. And the house looks like a hurricane hit it. So, get your kids involved with helping keep that up. Not only that, but it's going to help you whenever they're grown and out of your house and you go visit their house and you walk in and you can say, looks kind of nice in here. Right.